What is happening, my loves? How was your weekend? Was it crazy? Like mine? Was it bananas? Bananas Foster? It was bananas, but it became bananas Foster. The got to greet the challenges as opportunities for breakthroughs. So if you had a crazy weekend, it wasn't my fault. It was Mercury. So keep picking on Mercury. Get the bad news out of the way. What's happening with a combustion is you can't really see the planet. So that planet's energies are not quite available. And what's happening with a retrograde is, in every retrograde, is the planet appears to be moving backwards. So what this effectively does is it obscures information, especially in Mercury's case. Things that we think are obvious at the time when Mercury's in retrograde, once Mercury goes direct, we'll get a completely different context to consider, whatever that is. What's happening actually in the D9, as I was talking about in the previous drop, which is the true nature of the planetary transits. So if you want, it's sort of like it's the soul of the planet, really. We see the corporeal planet before our eyes, but the soul of that planet, the true nature of that planet, can be determined by interpreting the D9 or the Navamsha. And so what's happening on top of everything that's obvious in the visible realm to Mercury is it slides into Pisces on the 22nd. And Pisces is the traditional Nietzsche point, or low. That is literally the Sanskrit, the only sort of real thing we can take from the Sanskrit of what Nietzsche means is low. How it got translated into the English to be debilitated, as for another drop. But this is a sort of, it means basically there's a nonlinear, asymmetrical, unconventional attitude to a planet when it's either debilitated or retrograde. So with the D9, you get a really clear indication of what's going on with the planet. So even though Mercury looks like it's in Cancer, that's where it's sliding back into in its retrograde pattern across the Gandanta, it's in Pisces in the D9. So, what does this mean? The subtle communications, the subconscious communications, that's what Mercury in Pisces is really good for. On the shadow side, you can misinterpret information and data with wild abandon and concoct like really overcomplicated ways of approaching analysis. It's sort of like going around your elbow to get to your ass. But if you're in a creative mode, and especially when you're dealing with psychic and intuitive components, this is a brilliant position. But when you need to make a decision or think on your feet, particularly when this is in the D9, Mercury in Pisces can throw some curveballs. So what this means, especially now, is just completely dead everything to do with communications, media, technology. Tune it all out. Don't buy anything, for God's sake. And because I mean, legitimately, this is one of those weeks where like I can see, especially on the August 22nd, it's going to be a wild affair no matter what. But there could be like stuff like cyber attacks this week. Because of the way that the transits are going. So I'm going to talk more about that and the moon next. So while Mercury gets the nomination for Trickster Planet of the Week, Moon is actually not a planet, so it's a luminary, but way to nerd out. Moon is definitely a close second in its fallibility. So I'm dropping this on the day of the full moon in Dhanishta in Aquarius. And one big concept that people should be familiar with, but isn't kind of addressed enough, especially in Vedic astrology, is waning versus waxing moon. And this makes all the difference in the world about how our attitudes and our moods can suddenly shift on a dime. And people talk about the full moon as everybody's like crazy and intense and whatever, but it's actually where our emotions are at their fullest potential. So if anything, it just is an indicative of the fact that people are very uncomfortable with their emotions coming to a head, and that's why they call it a crazy time. What actually happens with the waning moon is it diminishes in visibility over the 2 weeks from the full moon leading up to the next new moon, where the sun is actually, it's a combustion. So like I was talking about with Mercury being combust, you can't see the moon because of the sun. uh, the sun illuminates everything, but when a planet or a moon fellow luminary gets close, the sun completely avasta, it blocks it from the sky. So with this waning moon, the kind of emotional stability, our sense of balance can really be thrown off, especially in the days just leading up to the new moon, which actually incidentally has tremendous subtle, energetic, and occult potential, as do many of the scary concepts in astrology. So when Moon crosses Saturn, this is what's happening right now. Our emotions may be really constrained, maybe really pent up, and we feel like we can't express ourselves. And in a couple of days, when Moon is crossing Rahu, it'll be a completely different story, and we'll want to basically blurt out things and say exactly what's on our mind, possibly, because Rahu is the north node of the Moon. It's why we're sort of obsessed with this particular matrix. Rahu is the ultimate trickster. So Moon, when it comes conjunct Rahu, can really throw things out of whack emotionally and with our focus, in particular in this case. So the 22nd, mark that day, as especially because of what I was saying with Mercury, is going to be raucous. So if you can, just limit your I guess expansion in the matrix, as it were. Great day to do magic or energy work or yoga, breath work. All of these things are fall under the rubric of occult, meaning hidden, meaning you have to be initiated into these secret concepts. So anyway, like I was saying, the moon will give us a good day to catch our breath on August 24th, to kind of assess what just happened, because this week stuff's going to happen. I'm just telling you right now. Moon will basically be in Aries by itself on the 24th, and just about to go into its happy house, where it gets Ucha, or exalted, in Taurus in the next week, the beginning of next week. So really, like, that's the thing. The week of the 26th, 1 week from today, will not only find the moon in a happier place that week, but by Wednesday of that week, Mercury, trickster guy, will be coming out of retrograde. So it'll take a few days to shake off the cobwebs of the next couple of weeks. So this is by far, this week, though, compared to next week, is a slightly bigger shit show.